See, I'm back. So look, I've been admonished. I've been criticized and accused of things that well, maybe I did have something to do with it. So this, for
Mm.
those who are coming in, I had it playing on YouTube. So I hopefully, Quan, this is still transmitting. Our expert in the background is still playing, but on YouTube channel. But that was my fault.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
I just thought you just thought I really loved that song. So first of all, happy Thursday Eve, happy Friday Eve on Thursday, as we try to get this show on the road. And we want to thank everyone for being here. And this, for those who don't know us, let me take a moment to just do a quick introduction. And my name is Al Franda Durr. I go by Al to make it easy on everyone. A little bit about me: 28-year military veteran. I am a former athlete. I say former because if you try to get me to do anything that I used to do in this current state, parts of me would explode. And really a happily married, 4 boys, live in the Northern Virginia area, and really have a compassion and a commitment to providing trainings and supporting people's um, kind of inspirational aspirations. So I'll leave it at that for now because we'll have an opportunity for you to ask a lot more questions. I don't want to give it all away. I'm going to turn it over to my esteemed colleague, Dr. Andrea Blame Al Davis.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. Now you know what? I've got so much fodder now after tonight. You'll never hear the end of it. You'll never hear
Oh my gosh.
But hi, everyone. I am Dr. Andrea Davis. I am the Chief Social Scientist and Principal Consultant with ALD and Associates. I'm sure most of you already know who we are, but just a little bit about my background. Born and raised in Michigan, then went to college at the Alabama State University, went to graduate school at the University of Florida, and spent my formative work years in the federal government before transitioning onto the consulting side of things. So excited that we're doing this unfiltered live. I feel like given that the title of this podcast or the show is unfiltered, it really lends itself to a live episode. Right? I feel like there's nothing more unfiltered than a live episode.
Okay. Well, yes. And I would say to that, we don't know what questions are coming our way. We did receive a couple of questions prior to. We asked people if they had thoughts or questions to send those to us.
Yeah.
So we'll do our best to address those, and we'll additionally do our best to answer all the questions that are asked tonight. This is an opportunity where, the first time I did an AMA moment was when I was lecturing at a local university, and it was quite insightful. I had some students ask me some really good questions, and one question that really caught me at my core, but we won't get into that right now because that question was one that took me almost to tears. Well, actually, one or two dropped, but it was a very profound question. So, with that said, Dr. Davis, what do you say that we get into? Let me see. Oh, I see one that popped up.
Yes, and I will. While you're doing that, I will answer the question that I asked everyone when you were trying to figure out your tech issues. I asked them, like, "Do you all know what my mug here says?" And it says, "I ate some pie. I ate some pie." So, yeah, let us know if you knew that that's what it says.
So there's an old thing about dad jokes. That's a smart person joke.
I know.
Isn't that something? Yeah. So we'll leave those alone too. So one of the questions that popped up was, what's one surprising thing that most people don't know about how ALD operates or creates impact? And Dr. Davis, since you picked on me all this time, I'm going to start with you.
I would say a lot of people are unaware of the work that we do in the community. I think just the nature of our business, of our consultancy, folks know that we come in to kind of help build capacities within organizations, help build both the organizational capacity and the individual capacity. But I don't think most folks really know how much we are involved in our communities. I mean, we are kind of always doing volunteer work, whether it's with schools, local cleanups, fundraising. I mean, you and I we're pretty boots on the ground when it comes to that kind of thing. So we're well beyond just creating impact in workforces. It really matters to us to be impactful in our communities as well.
And I appreciate that, and I think that's why I think that's why we connect and work so well together. One of the things that, as we started ALD and Associates back in 2019, it was really about creating opportunities to provide services to organizations to help their teams and their talent to be better, but more importantly, giving back to the community. So if you follow us on any type of social media, you'll see an opportunity to kind of see what we do in the community, whether we're sponsoring a golf tournament that provides scholarships, or we're out giving pro bono classes to nonprofit organizations. We're committed to giving back to our community because, giving starts at home. And this is where we believe that we can make the largest impact. So toward that, we've been very, very fortunate to win a couple of awards over the last, I think, 3 consecutive years. The first one was the People's Choice. The second one was the small business of 1 to 10 employees, and the most recent one was the Veteran-Owned Business of the Year. So we are appreciative of that, but we don't do it for the accolades and the awards. We do it because we believe that for those who are given much, then much is required. So
yeah, and to that point, I was going to say the vast majority of what we do in the communities, they're not going to be able to see online, right? I mean, occasionally here or there, maybe if we've sponsored something, we may post that, but because we're not doing it for that purpose, right? We're not doing it for the visibility, but yeah, just to kind of share a little bit more about who we are. It's just, I think it's important that folks know that, yeah, we get involved in that way, but it's really not something that they'll see often because we're not posting about that.
Okay. Yeah. And so that was the first question. And then I think this one just popped up here. What does this one say? This one says, if okay, that's interesting. If we gave you a magic wand to shape the future of ALD, what would be the first big change or innovation you make? Man. Okay, let me give that a little thought. Dr. Davis, you want to jump in on piggyback? That's a magic wand. Okay.
Yeah, if we were king or queen for a day, huh? What is it exactly that we would do? Give us more money so that we could carry out, I should say, like some of our initiatives in the full way that we would like to. I think sometimes we're not able to do as much as we would want to do with a client or whatever, because there's just funding constraints, right? So maybe, and I feel like maybe this is an easy answer, but if I had a magic wand, I would just give us more funding to be able to assist the clients with their goals.
And I say for me, it'd be more of shape the future of ALD. Well, first of all, ALD is a village, right? And that's how we look at it. And we have about 8 strategic partners who do similar work or even kind of add to our capabilities. And I would really love to grow our village, because I believe that everyone in the village should have a chance to eat. So when you think about ALD in the village and who we engage, we may not be able to do everything, but we have partners who add to our repertoire. So I think it's important that we continue to grow that village. So if I had a magic wand, I would love to get into the IT space. I would love to be able to create programs to empower people who are currently not employed to gain skills, to have a chance to work, whether that be with us or even, within their specified field of study. But I just want to give back. I mean, we talk about privilege, and there's many types of privileges, but I think in this space, I would consider Dr. Davis and I very privileged to do what we do.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And good evening. We just see Tonya said good evening, ALD. So good evening to you back.
Good. And that's speaking of strategic partners. Look at that. Right on. Cue. I love it. I love it. All right. So our next question, let me see what this one says. As this popped up. What is the biggest challenge you think our community is facing right now, and how can ALD help? Dr. Davis, I've kind of asked you to do the first two. I guess I can jump on it on this one. Um, one of the things, and it's funny that Miss Bledsoe, Tonya, not Sonia, but Tonya, because even as a strategic partner, I wanted to make sure that I get the names right. She does a lot of work within the AI space, and I think it's important that people are empowered and understand the information. So I think our biggest challenge you think our community is facing right now, I think one of those is technology. And really, really, I did a class for one agency once, and people said the greatest divide is digital literacy. Right. That's something that's a barrier. So really,
as evidenced by the beginning of this podcast. Right?
Okay. So now, so now we're throwing shade in the middle of the conversation. I love it. Thank you for the shade, and whatever happened to positive affirmations. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. As we learn it, and from a generational perspective, and I'm sure there's some folks out there who'll say, "Al, don't bring generation into this," but I'm out of that generation that's really good with the high speed stuff, but I'm trying to learn. And that's why I think it's important to really give that back to our community, to really help them to understand how to leverage some things to make increase their skill sets, but two, give them an opportunity to really be competitive in the job market and kind of handle themselves. What do you think our biggest challenge is, Dr. Davis?
Well, I'm going to put the question back on you and say, now, when you answered that, who were you considering as our community? Because the biggest challenge in your community, I think the way I would answer it depends on who I'm framing as our community, which, it varies. So when you answered that, who were you thinking of?
Any thoughts? Please feel free to share.
Yeah. Please hop in the comments and let us know. But yeah, that question is for you, Al. Who were you thinking of when you answered that?
Well, I was thinking about the people and the population that we serve. One, those who are maybe emerging leaders. One of the things that I want to bring light to, and I want to acknowledge that in this time of transition, and as we look at how the government is shaping, and this is not by any means a political statement, but we send a lot of acknowledgments out to those who have lost their jobs and currently aren't working. But I also want to remember those and acknowledge those who are still working and picking up those extra kind of workload requirements, and not knowing what's going to happen to them next. So I think that for me, some of those challenges are really based in uncertainty and fear, and also anxiety. So when I think about anxiety, right now we are not like a therapist type organization or a counseling organization. We do consultancy work to really help to look across enterprises and really create greater efficiencies. But that community that I'm thinking about is those who are either have been displaced or are still in place and dealing with a lot of stress.
And I think when I see that question, I think of it, I guess when I think of my community, I think of more so like outside of a workspace. I sort of think of what various villages am I a part of, so to speak. And so, and I think, how can ALD help? I think it's, for me, by extending our social capital in the best way possible that we can with people who need it. So whether that is being a thought partner for folks or for organizations, whether it's helping someone with a resume or get in a door, that they may not have otherwise had access to. I think it's just lending our capital in whatever ways that we can to the people who need it.
And I like that. And I also, when you say capital, it makes me think of equity, right? And your social equity or your personal equity. Meaning, what are you investing in, and who are you investing in? And when I was in the military, I had a lieutenant colonel who told me I was an up and coming officer, and he said, "Look, you can win whenever you want, but you can't win all the time." And it was a situation that I tried to advocate for someone, and he dismissed me immediately. And then the next day, that person was apprehended for some unfortunate behavior. And
Mm.
it just taught me a lesson that you can't save everyone, right? But I think that when we as people invest or really impart our knowledge and information, we want to do so in a way that's responsible, where we're just not giving away, you know, our equity that we want to invest, so that hopefully the ultimate goal is to invest and have people continue to grow and thrive, and we create this ripple effect that if Dr. Davis does a training and she touches 4 or 5 people, then hopefully each one of those people will touch 4 or 5 people, and it's ongoing and ongoing. So I think that right now, as we talk about going back to that community, and the biggest challenge is, I would say, almost helping people to stay encouraged.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's very much needed now. Now, what did you mean when you said we can't just be giving out our capital? Like, what you mean? We got to make sure it's the person or the people deserve it or earn it. Like, what did you mean when you said that?
So that's a good question. So I think one of the things we have to look at is do our homework. When we invest in, and it's just like if we do any type of investment or doing anything, is that we have to look for opportunities to see that, how can we gain or assist them with creating an opportunity for a return. A prime example is we've asked, after the George Floyd murder, I was asked to do a lot of different workshops on racial equity and greater diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I said no to a lot of them because some of them just wanted to do it because it was a convenient thing and they weren't truly committed to it. And for me, it's not about making a lot of money. It's about making a difference. So when we get into a situation where people are just doing it to check the box and they're not truly committed to it, then it's hard for me to continue to provide my equity or my capital to that, because I know that that isn't sincere. So it isn't to say that I do it and I'm some elitist and I look at this and say, well, this person I don't think is worthy. I think that I'm open to listening to all, but I also want to make sure that there's somebody out there that may want to and really needs to benefit from whatever we have to share.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. And I think in some ways, that it goes back to just thinking about equity and capital and all of that speaks back to the privilege that you mentioned earlier in this conversation, and what it looks like to know that you carry various types of privilege in some circumstances, and then how do you juxtapose that against making sure that you're not giving away your stuff for free, or that there's so much that's wrapped into all of this, right? And it's a lot to consider.
And I wanted to share this another comment from on one of our viewers and our strategic partners talks about, I think, the areas when we ask the question about where we can make a difference. I think of the areas and organizations and persons where I have a sphere of influence: schools, universities, and community organizations, and supporting the emerging leaders. And I thank you for sharing that. And I think when we think about the spheres of influence, and like I said before, it's that ripple effect, right? And we want to be able. I do a lot of work with speaking with youth programs, which I don't publicize that very often because, one, I don't want to post these young folks' pictures on a website, but I find a passion with looking at these young, eager minds and those who want to grow. And some of them are there because their parents told them to be. I get that too. But I think there's an opportunity for each one of us, everyone in this space, to really seek out opportunities to make a difference. But thank you for that. And then another question.
And just while you're doing that, just want to shout out, hi, Sharon. Sharon, welcome.
Yes, Sharon Moore. Hello. I hope Ashley got off to college okay. Yes. I'm sorry I didn't have a chance to see her. What inspired you personally to get involved with ALD, and what keeps you motivated? Okay, Doc.
Oh my gosh.
I want to start with you on that one.
What inspired me personally to get involved with ALD? Well, I mean, to some extent, I guess the facts of it at the time when I was first getting involved or first considering getting involved. It was at a time when I was looking to make a transition away from the job that I was in. Right. And so I had the door, the proverbial door was open, right? I think about the LinkedIn, like open to hiring or, open to networking, that kind of thing. Like I was open to opportunities at that time. And met Al, and it really seemed like it was, I don't know. It seemed like it was fate in many ways. I mean, we just aligned in how we viewed business, how we viewed the work, whether it was work around just kind of equity or building organizational capacity, kind of in general. We had just similar belief systems as people. And it all really came together in what now feels like a fateful way. And also I thought it was great that we had very complementary skill sets. We are not good at the same things, which is something that I was hoping for in a business partner. I think finding someone who was a twin was not going to be good, but finding someone who you do something well, they do something else really well, and you can just bring that together. For me, was just such a big blessing. And what keeps me motivated? I enjoy the work. I enjoy working with Elle. I enjoy the work that we do. So yeah, I'm motivated. And also I have bills, let's keep it 100. So that keeps me motivated.
Yes, I keep hearing about that. But what's funny is, we don't always see eye to eye. We have different perspective. I mean, for a number of reasons: gender, I think age, generational differences. And I'm happy that Dr. Davis is in a place where she can push back. Right? She feels comfortable saying, "I disagree," and I'm like, "Why?" Or I want to do something, and she was like, "No." Right? Even during our rehearsal, and we have this space where it's fun and it's an engaging work environment. But I think, why did I get involved in this? I've been doing this for 3 decades. I'll just say that. Having an opportunity to get in front of platforms and speak and teach and facilitate. I rather use the term facilitation because I believe that the experts are already in the room. It's my job to facilitate and bring that information out. But one day I just finished doing a training with some executive leaders, and one of them pulled me inside and said, that was really good. You need to take that on the road. And about a few months later, I resigned from my full-time job, and ALD had been in the infancy stage, and I thought it was time to invest some more time. But what keeps me going, I think, is, I'm not sure if we can use this word, but I'm going to do it anyway, the diversity of clients, right?
It's our show. We can use whatever word we want.
That's what I'm talking about. Thank you for that. Thank you for that encouragement. But we worked with hospitals, we worked with first responders, law enforcement, education, higher education universities. We work with state and through all that, it challenges us to sit down and develop the materials. And it's back and forth, and it's yes, no, and it's like, what is this? And it's like, no, get rid of this, get rid of this. I'm not the one saying get rid of stuff. Just so you know, I want to put that on the card. I'll take it and I can make it work, but somebody tells me no. So, and I accept that. So I hope that answers the question. What motivates us is being able to touch a wide range of people from very diverse and backgrounds, social economic statuses, and even professions. Those are the things that inspire me.
So then if I could ask the reverse question, then what demotivates you?
You know what? It takes a lot to demotivate me.
Okay.
But I've worked with folks in the past that have said they're committed and they put on this front. And when I ask them for the follow through as a part of the process, they say, you just do it. I'm willing to meet you halfway, I think, as an organization, but I think the work that we do is meaningful and we need to be able to engage, and it's a partnership. So when the partnership is not equally yoked, or if it's not mutually beneficial, I don't want to just get paid. I want to make a difference. So if I'm not making a difference, then, maybe you can save your money to use as you continue to hire more and more people,
Mm.
because the ones that you currently have are going to leave. I mean, that's just as honest as I can be.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Let's go to the next question. This one.
Great.
Ha ha ha. That's funny. If ALD were a person, how would you describe its personality in 3 words?
Would we have to describe its personality in 3 words? 3 words that encompass both of us, or do each of us
Well,
need 3 words?
you go first. Let me think about this. You go first.
Okay. Ooh. Hmm. All righty. Okay. So I'd say 1, tenacious. Tenacious. I think ALD, we are, yeah, but tenacious. And I think that's one word that really encompasses both of us together equally. Stubborn.
Mhm.
Stubborn, we will find a way to make something work. We'll dig our heels in when when we feel something is right, and we will, yeah, we'll remain steadfast. So tenacious, stubborn, and what also can I say? Collegial.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Usually.
Usually, right. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Okay. It depends. So for me, it would be, I think, committed, compassionate, and engaging. Right. I think those things are important. Um, One, our commitment to excellence is kind of a really important thing for us. We don't want to just throw out anything. It's about our brand, and that's an important piece. And I'm very protective of that, because that's representative of not just myself, but everybody within the team, to include our strategic partners. We have a responsibility in that space.
Yeah.
But I just came across this other really great question from Jackie.
Yeah,
Jackie,
Jack Ross, and hello, and thank you for joining us, and thank you for your question.
okay, so here, what is both of your greatest accomplishments as a partnership? Okay, let's see what happens here.
hmm. Ooh, me surviving L, can that be my greatest accomplishment?
That might be, a lot of people said they haven't done it. So yes, that could be one.
Oh my gosh, no, what? Huh? Let me ponder that one as a partnership. I think we have changed hearts and minds.
Mhm.
In the work we do, we're doing DEI work, and in some cases anti-racism work, and folks have a preconceived notion about what we're going to say, who we're going to be, and that kind of thing. One of the things that I'm most proud of us as a duo is that I have seen eyes open, and I have seen behavior change just from the work that we do, and how we are able to engage people and connect with people, and really show folks that maybe this is not quite uh what you maybe thought, particularly again as it relates to the DEI or anti-racism sort of work that we do separately from EEO or leadership development and that kind of thing. I'm just really proud that I think we are helping to guide people and truly make the world a better place, and the little ways that we can as an organization. I think we are truly doing that.
I like that. Thank you. And I would share this, that I am, and I think Sharon shared it. Sharon Moore, thank you. And Sharon is watching from Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
Sharon's a member of the family. And we talked, and she said, tenacious and grit. I am, by my own admission, a workaholic. I can go all day, and just to be totally transparent, I'm ADD. So my mind is always on, and I'm looking for opportunities. And one of our greatest accomplishments as a partnership is that we want to get things done and in good order. And even though Dr. Davis has said I have boundaries and this and that, and I said I have a deadline and I need it by Friday. I don't think I can do it by Friday. I can do it by Monday, but sure enough, it's there Friday. And that just to me spoke to the level of commitment that we're mutually there. And it's 11 o'clock at night, phone calls. It's Saturday afternoon, it's Sundays. So the greatest commitment is being in a space, our greatest accomplishment. And our partnership is being in a space that we want to excel and achieve. And I think, so I appreciate that in her because I know even though she takes naps far more than I understand, I don't understand naps. I take them every now and then.
There's an eclipse, the shade. Okay.
Yeah, whatever. I'm like I'm calling. I'm like, where are you? And then it's like, oh, I just had a great nap. I'm like, the generational thing, but really bringing these two generations together with different levels of expertise. And there are many people who will ask me, why do you always call her Andrea Davis, Dr. Davis? And I say, I don't call her Andrea by her name because I'm proud of her for her accomplishment. And I want to acknowledge that. And there are other people. Now, she may give other people permission not to call her doctor, but I will continuously call her doctor in a professional setting because I think she's earned that respect. And I want to reinforce and set the conditions for that.
Yeah, well, thank you. It does my heart good, and I know it does my mama's heart good too.
Oh, yes. All right. Thank you for that. Thank you for that question. And Jackie, I appreciate you being here tonight.
Yeah.
Let me see here. There's another question. Oh, how are you pivoting given the new environment? So let's talk about that because January 20th at about 4:25 in the afternoon was a significant was more significant than I could have imagined. And we strategized about what that would look like, but I didn't know the flash, the bang would be so quick. It was like a short fuse. It exploded. The next morning, there was phone calls, either pausing or canceling contracts across the board. And what we had to demise and figure out that we just had to do, we had to change, make some significant business practice changes. So we did that. We had to let some folks go. We had to reduce salaries. We had to figure out how are we going to be able to sustain it. And what we did is we focused more on municipalities and states, right? Because the federal government, I mean, they were in a flux that they didn't know what was going on. I think the saddest phone call I had was when a guy called me and I did an event in January and he was trying to get me paid. And he said, I have to CC these 4 other people on the call. I mean, on this email to make sure you get paid because I don't know if I'm going to have a job this afternoon. Mm. And that put it in perspective for me. So, I mean, that was a rough one. And I just said, I thank you for that. Thank you for making, you're in the midst of this uncertainty, whether you're going to get fired or not. And you're more concerned, are you placing emphasis on trying to get me paid? And I appreciate that. And I don't know whatever happened to that individual, but those things are things that kind of, when we talk about pivoting, we're looking at states and we had to go through our website and take out all DEI references and look at our social media posts and those because to be frank, DEI was under attack, right? It's if you did it, then there's no place in this space for the federal government. We didn't totally relinquish DEI. We still go after. There's a number of states who are still committed to that effort, and we are still pursuing them. But the federal sector had provided us with some substantial opportunities, and we just wanted to make sure we were still relevant there. Your thoughts, Dr. Davis?
I think we are still learning to pivot. We're flying the plane as we're building it, environment. And so I think it's exactly what you said in terms of we had to make some adjustments for how we were trying to engage with folks in the federal government space We more so aligned with state and local government, municipalities, and whatnot related to some of the work we were doing with DEI. We were able to, like you said, continue some of that in non-federal government spaces, but it was really important to us, I should say was and is important to us to make sure that we are staying true to ourselves in this process, right? Pivoting can't mean a complete denial of our identity, who we are as people and what we built the business on. But at the same time, it's super important to make sure that we're able to compete in the spaces that we've always competed in and spaces that we know we can add value to. So I think just really help learning to better understand the evolving federal space, evolving national space, right? Too, like the whole, the country is pivoting and shifting, not just the government, but knowing the evolving language, the shifts in the nomenclature and the shifts in how people identify and how folks want to identify. And I don't just mean in terms of like gender, race, that kind of thing. I mean, just how folks are showing up as their authentic selves in places, and us really better understanding how that may look differently now than it may have looked before. And then how will that manifest in these RFPs and RFIs and all that goes out. So the learning curve to some extent has been kind of steep.
Extremely. Extremely. But I think your point's well taken that we haven't, there are times that we have to, probably you more than me, remind each other, and we have conversations that are probably not the typical conversations, and we think about personal philosophies, and I don't like the term agree to disagree. We look for understanding. And I think that's important. And oftentimes there's an introduction of new terminologies and philosophies. And I'm somewhat resistant to them initially. And then within a week or two, I'm actually claiming them to be my own.
No, you're not colonizing a word.
But that's just who I am. But one of the things that I've learned, and that we talk about our greatest accomplishments as a team, is not to run away from the questions. And this question came in shortly right before we went on, and I'm like, we're definitely going to address it. And it said, have you noticed the increased hostility and animosity toward Black women? And let me just say that I think it's been there for a long time. I don't think this is a new phenomenon. One. Two, I think there's people are feeling emboldened that they could say it. I mean, it was there. It was probably more subtle, but I've never seen it at such a high point as the election and how we characterize, Vice President Harris, and to disparage and to really slander their character in such a way based on a political perspective. I thought it was an all-time high. I thought it was totally inappropriate. And we talked about, we offer a course called civility, and you can agree, you can have a differing opinion of someone, but to disparage them and to try to assassinate their character, it's just not appropriate. I think there's an opportunity for understanding. And I think there's an opportunity and responsibility that we may not agree on every aspect of, there are a lot of things that Dr. Davis and I don't agree on, but I would never disparage her or put her down in terms of who she is and take away from her character. So when I was talking to one of the school districts about providing a civility class, one of the procurement officer had said, we call civility straight in your face class. And I kind of laughed. He says, because your attitudes will present themselves through your facial expressions and through your body language. So, even though you may not say it, your body language is conveying it. So, Dr. Davis, so I'm going to pause because this is, I want you to have an opportunity to talk about this particular one.
So, oh my gosh, this question is just so much. How much time do we have? Have I noticed increased hostility and animosity toward Black women? I'm assuming they're referring to maybe since in the new administration or this year, that kind of thing. And I can't say that I feel like it's been increased. I feel like it, for folks who were listening to Black women and what we've been saying for so long, this is what we experience all the time. Now it just seems that people are listening more, or in some cases, like you said, I think some things are more out in the open for others to see it. But for those of us who are Black women, do I feel like it's truly been an increase? No. I think this is unfortunately business as usual. Maybe now, like you said, these certain people are emboldened to say certain things. They're posting it online or whatever it may be. But for folks who really wanted to understand what was going on with Black women and what we were experiencing in the workforce and communities, that kind of thing, yeah, this has been it. And so I'm glad that maybe people are listening more now, but it's also frustrating when I hear folks act as if like, oh, I never knew, you all went through this. Like, well, you would have known if you had listened, you would have known if you had paid attention. And it's, I recognize that, there've been differential effects specific effects, I should say, on Black women with like job loss and what like that in the labor market. I think there's something like 300,000 Black women have lost jobs and, in this new administration. And so there are things like that you can say have disproportionately affected us. But in terms of like general hostility and animosity, and just as we are going about doing our day-to-day life and business and whatnot, I really just feel like I wish folks were listening to us all along. And it didn't take it getting to a place like this before, it got on your radar.
Mm-hmm. And you have a concurring comment from agree, it's always been there. Mm-hmm. And, and these are conversations that we need to have, but also with conversations, there needs to be some type of action. Right? I mean, how do we, one, it's empowering people, and it's really giving the opportunity to, so, people would present situations to me or proposals when I was in the military. And I always asked them, are you ready for a question? And the question was, so what? I mean, what are we going to do about it? How do we change the tide? What do we need to do? And I think that's an ongoing process, and I think some of it can be legislative, some of it could be political, some of it could be civil and human. Some of it could be just really bringing greater awareness to it. And that could be through a number of different means or ways. But I just think it's, we need to do something. And one of the things that we do in our trainings is we really look at opportunities to create a space where people can feel safe, psychologically safe, to express themselves, and to allow a space where people who may feel oppressed can say, this has been my lived experience. Because when you speak it as yours, no one can take that away from you, because it's your lived experience. But any other thoughts on that, Dr. Davis?
Yeah, it's yours. And I would say when someone is sharing their experience, don't use that as a time to push back or to try to be a devil's advocate, or, hey, the devil has enough advocates. You don't need to be that.
Yes, right.
Just, listen and really try to understand and create, be part of the change, right? So awareness, of course, is a first step, but you've got to actually be open to feedback, what people are saying, to really become aware not only of what others are experiencing, but of how you may be contributing to that. And I think that is the key. So it's, we talk a lot about disrupting systems and, deconstructing all this other stuff. Maybe the first step is deconstructing your own nonsense, right? Because
Right.
that, I think, is a key first step that so many of us are missing.
Mhm. So with that said, we've been on, we initially said we're going to be on for like what, 20 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
Here we are 45 minutes later. Here's what I like to share. One, we really will appreciate those who are here and those who view this as feedback. We typically tape these during the month and put them on. And if live is an option that you appreciate, please let us know in the comments. But additionally, what topics would you like to hear about? That would be appreciated as well. We want to support you. We want to be able to connect and have the conversation. Any Dr. Davis, any thoughts you want to add to that?
No, yeah, I just agreeing with what you just said. Please let us know things you'd like to hear about. Like Al says, we do a monthly episode, and usually we come up with topics unless someone has gotten in contact with us to let us know there's something in particular they'd like to hear about. So if you have an idea, please let us know. And if you like the live format, let us know that too, because it's certainly something that we're open to doing more of. And we appreciate the good questions that came in, and that no one asked any out-of-pocket questions. So cheers to everyone for being on the up and up.
And also send positive vibes my way, because when we're done with this and we do our debrief, I'm gonna be chastised and berated because my YouTube channel is on my other link, and it was a rough start, but I think we finished strong. And so I would propose that next month we do this again on a different topic so I can redeem myself.
Yo, yes, well, you know what? I might just give you that opportunity.
Awesome. Great.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks everybody. Have a good night. Thank you for tuning in, and subscribe.
Yes, please do. Thank you.